Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. And on today's show, we will be talking about South Africa's defeat to the West Indies in the first unofficial test between and West Indies A. It was quite a close encounter, so there is quite a bit to maybe talk about, but also at the same time, not so much to talk about because ultimately it was a one-man show that took the game over the line for the West Indies and to make sure that the win was secured. But there are some positives to talk from a South African cricket perspective, so we will dive into that on the show today and discuss those particular aspects of it as well. Going into the rest of this tour and the series. It's obviously being a three-match series, so there's still an opportunity for South Africa to win the series if they can build some momentum now, bounce back, sorry, and then win the last two games. But before we get going, before we get started, there's just a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell for all future videos. And I'd also like you to download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. If you subscribe right now, you'll have access to all the back issues, including the latest issue, which is on BMT. So please go ahead and get your copy now. We are busy working on the next issue. Very, very soon, we will be publishing that as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video and let's discuss everything that happened between South Africa and the West Indies. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid Moeddin. And this is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with South Africa versus the West Indies and what took place in the match. So let's just go into this and give a summary of everything that happened from the start. Let me just share my screen with you. So South Africa won the toss and elected to bat first in this particular match. And they actually were pretty impressive in certain aspects and certain standards of or certain periods of the game. Particularly Tony de and Zubair Hamza with their partnership after the first wicket fell, got them to 83 for 2. And Tony de managed to get a 55 of 103 balls. There were a couple of half centuries in the match. Obviously, Keegan Peterson, 59 of 91. And him and David Bedingham, obviously, doing a great, having a great partnership in the middle overs to take South Africa close to the 200 run mark. And then Clyde Fortuin as well with the 43, and Bedingham going out 3 runs short of his 50. And they got to a total that a lot of us were speaking and saying it was subpar. It wasn't a score that necessarily we were all very happy with. They only managed to get to 287, and then they declared. Um, and obviously in their mind they believed that this would be a decent total, and to an extent, given the way this match unfolded, they were probably right, based off the first innings. But West Indies did well to counter-attack South Africa, and particularly Tagnarain Chandrapal was with his 78 of 150 balls, and Kevin Hodge as well with his 73, and Hakeem Jordan with his 40 or 50 balls, and Kevin Sinclair with 39 or 47. With regards to the bowling attack, South Africa, Schepo Mareke was the top wicket taker in that innings with 3 for 56 and bowled really well on this wicket. And we had some good contributions from the likes of Mihlali Mapungwana and Neil Brandt with 9 overs each, and 1 for 35 and a 1 for 26 respectively. Hardus Viljoen was pretty expensive in this particular innings. Although he bowled 21 overs as a seamer, he was relatively expensive for that 21 overs. Although it was 21 overs that he bowled, Tuan Olivier picked up a little bit of a niggle and didn't come back to bowl. But West Indies got to 314 for 9, and they declared as well to make a match, to put a match on the cards. And then in the second innings, everybody collapsed around Neil Brandt. He was the star as a captain, led from the front, 104 of 219 balls. And we started to see that this was the type of wicket that was a bit slow, that was a bit difficult to bat on. It wasn't necessarily very easy. But they were bowled out for 250. And it was Akeem Jordan again with the ball. That was fantastic, backing up his performance with a bat and getting 3 for 58. And then today's match, or today's portion of the match, which was majority of West Indies' innings. The West Indies, which South Africa started well in this particular in those first 5 overs yesterday, and got a wicket, but wickets only tumbled in portions with regards to the top order. 75 for 2 first and foremost, and then to 97 for 3 after 35.2 overs. West Indies found it very difficult to accumulate runs. South Africa bowled very tight lines. They were very disciplined. They didn't give a lot away. Bowled a lot of dot balls. I mean, if you look at the amount of maidens bowled, there were 2 by Tsepo, 6 by Dane, 6 by Michlali, 5 by Dwan Olivier, 2 by Viljoen, and 1 by Neil Brandt. So a lot of maidens were bowled and a lot of dot deliveries were bowled throughout this match. So I have to give credit to the bowlers who really put on a proper fight to defend that total. Um, in fact, we got ourselves back into the match pretty well. There were some quick wickets that were taken from the 39th, from the 40th over till the 49th over. I would say even you can go as far as saying 49th over probably. There was a flurry of wickets for a minimum amount of runs. And South Africa were back into the match at 119 for 7. But then Jaden Seals and Kevin Sinclair put on a partnership and took them closer to the 150 mark and put the pressure back on South Africa again. But even at that moment, I would say South Africa was still in the driving seat. They took the ninth wicket when West Indies had 171 in the 63rd over. And it was now in South Africa's hands to try and knock over the last wicket. And they struggled. Kevin Sinclair farmed a strike, really put pressure on South Africa's bowlers. We didn't bowl straight enough when we had the opportunity to bowl to J.M. McAllister. And Kevin Sinclair just farmed a strike and batted majority of the overs and got got West Indies a closer and closer to the target, to their target that they were looking for. And when I look at it, besides Michlali, Mapungwanu bowled really well with his 3 for 25. I really enjoyed his bowling today. He was very tight and very consistent and took wickets. I was surprised that they didn't bring him in a lot later in the match. Even though Viljoen did take 2 wickets that were crucial. The thought process at the end over there, because I know they were trying to get to the new ball, but they were bowling their spinners and allowing Sinclair to rotate the strike quite easily with all their fielders on the boundary, making that second last ball for a single easy. And they just started chipping away at the runs and made it pretty easy for them to chase it down. So in the end, South Africa were in a situation where they lost the match. West Indies got 224. Jay McAllister hitting the final runs, and Kevin Sinclair ending on 80 not out of 150 balls to give West Indies the first win of the series. Now, slightly concerning because this is the team that we most likely we are going to see against New Zealand. Um, there was an instance in the match where we had an opportunity to dismiss Sinclair at a pivotal time in the match, and it was dropped by Tony in the field, and he probably would be extremely upset that that took place, and it will probably hurt them all. That it will probably hurt him the most that he was the one to actually stick around and get West Indies basically single-handedly over the line. So let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have had to say. Good 4 days of cricket that could have gone either way. At the end, SAA only have themselves to blame. However, TDZ dropping the match winner. Sinclair, what a big moment. Catches win matches. Was a big moment. Mapungwana really impressed me with the ball in hand, says Lawrence. Funny, the village on Afrikaans comms always says, if you don't have the pace, trouble batters by making up for it in skill and movement. And he really did that today. He was very accurate. He got a lot of movement off the seam, and he bowled very accurately, consistently. And I've always spoken about his batting, and today his bowling really impressed me. Well, in this match, his bowling really impressed me because I mean he hasn't bowled consistently in a very long time with all of his injuries, etc. It was his batting that really stood out for me at Province recently. But his bowling, we've always said that his bowling maybe needs a little bit of work. But today, in this particular series, if he can bowl like that consistently, I think we have a real player on our hands. Paul Terry says, "Is a cricket in trouble? Win your home games, not negotiable." Paul, don't think these A series is about winning per se. It's more about getting some time and experience under our belt. Performances is, however, still key. If this was a test match, I would get it. I think you're overreacting, says Matt92. And I think a little bit, Paul, because this is by no means our second best 11. By no means. I don't think so. I think there are a lot of players that are going to be playing SAA, they're going to be playing SA20 that we can bring into this side, and it would be a lot stronger. And I'm not talking about the first 11. I'm talking about a SAA side, a second string, a second team. I do think that South Africa will recover. Well, not recover, but they will improve as the series goes along. Um, I think that there's still a lot of room for improvement from a South African point of view, and I think that we almost got ourselves loosened up as a unit and warmed up for this particular clash. I think these type of players are very good at adapting once they've um, once they've faced opposition in a certain way. So I'm really hoping that in the second match, these players will be able to play a more free flowing game and be a lot more dominant with the bat, particularly because I think our bowlers impressed and they deserve some credit for the way they fought in this match. Lauren says Mapungwana was the guy who blew the game open for SA Holder. Yep, definitely. Views on David Teager's Israel comments, Khalid. I don't want to comment on that. Um, I believe that he maybe should not have commented, perhaps just as a public figure, um, maybe not commenting on that because there's a lot of things within this um, that's very sensitive. So it's not something necessarily I want to be talking about on a cricket channel. Khalid, I heard there will be a 4 day matches versus India next month. I think there will be warm up games. Credit Sinclair, by the way, he played a blind, a proper 4 day knock. I agree. Tony dropped the match, Khalid. Um, you can say that that was a pivotal point in the match, of course, but I feel that just the way the batters batted in the second innings, an extra 30, 40 runs would have made a massive difference, So I think that's where the match was really lost. I always call it as it is. How did you know that? Sorry, Neil Brandt, but you had a howler in regards to the post tea session, and yes, and I kind of agree to that. So that is something that is quite interesting. That he decided to do that because I mean the aim would have been to bowl Yorkers at the batter that is not in. and there were quite a few opportunities where he was facing full overs against spin, and he was dealing with it perfectly well. So I do think that that could have been a lot better with his decisions on who to pick to bowl which over. Our fielding is not good enough, Khalid. Seeing too many drop catches in domestic competition. Also, says Kani, um, yeah, unfortunately, we can't really see the drop catches because on pitch vision they only really show the batters in really and a bowler running in. What's happening at the Majola week? Heard CSA implementing targets for the tournament, and apparently the DA will write to the ICC inciting that it's borderline racist. Okay, I'm going to read you what the DA said. Um, I don't know how true everything is within this because we haven't really gotten a release from CSA regarding this. Um, but we can only go and comment on things that have been um, have been said in this particular report. So I'm going to read out the report to you guys for the ones that don't know much about it. Okay. Youth Cricket Week marred by debilitating race quotas. The DA vehemently rejects the race quotas instituted by Cricket South Africa for the upcoming Kayamajula Week Under 19 Cricket Week in Grahamstown next month. In the memorandum sent to all the parents of the school cricketers, Cricket South Africa rules that each provincial team is required to field a minimum of 7 black players and a minimum of 3 black African players. Teams are further instructed to have 2 black African batsmen who must bat in the top 6 batting order during each game. It is disheartening that the International Cricket Council advocates for inclusivity and proclaims to make considerable efforts to protect the integrity of the sport through anti racism programs, while CSA institutes quotas in direct contradiction. The discriminatory I always struggle to say this word. The discriminatory CSA policy smacks of political influence from the hopeless, soul destroying ANC government, is what they're saying. They are, in effect, reinforcing the narrative that the color of your skin can mean the difference between your progress being helped or hindered. It simply cannot be allowed. There are many young sportsmen and women who adequately meet the selection criteria for a variety of sporting codes through their talent. Now, with CSA's instruction, many of these young cricketers will be labeled as tokens. Sport is a vehicle for children to develop and form lasting relationships. Ultimately, quotas only bear negative consequences on child's development and cause disruption in team synergy. The Springboks has recently shown that you choose people on merit, building unity and inclusivity environment. You achieve an inclusive environment. You achieve more by enforcing draconian measures that, at the end of the day, has the opposite effect. The DA will be writing to the ICC to advise on the discriminatory rules. The ANC government path of destruction cannot continue unabated. So this is obviously a go at the ANC as the DA as an alliance. Cricket South Africa making those um, Cricket South Africa do have um, this is very strict. I must say, with regards to transformation rules for the Kayamachura week, because I don't even think that there are enough boys per grade of color that play cricket in every single top school. So I don't know how they are going to be able to enforce this and where they're going to find players to do so. We're probably going to have to see a lot of. We're probably going to see a hell of a lot of young players of color get an opportunity in the Sky Majola weeks. That's what it seems like. Lawrence says on the Tiga comments, I think senior advisors could have played more of a role there. That's all I'm going to say. Had the same stance on BLM, could have handled things better. Kani says, Khalid, what is Enoch doing by sending his opinion to SA Cricket Mag article? Guys still didn't send the report for our embarrassing exit in the T20 World Cup. Yeah, not really in the loop with regards to all of this. As you guys know, if you've been following me for a long time, you know that. But I have been informed about it. People have told me about it, and I don't think that it was the right decision by Coach Enoch to respond. I think that's exactly what they wanted um, as a publication to evoke a response. I think that played right into their hands. So I don't think that is. Um, I don't think that is that was a good move. So a very good strategic move. I understand that you'd want to speak up as the DOC, but I don't think it was a good move to maybe do that because I think it played right into SA Cricket into the magazine publication's hands. Um, Ryan Frieder do have some howlers, but I agree 100% with this article today. Enoch hadn't even released the T20 report, which is supposed to be released long ago as the process is already finalized. Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of good things that Enoch has done. Are we going to still hold this report over him, over his head? There's a lot of positive things that he's done for South African cricket, I feel. I don't think by any means he needs to be taken off the job or taken off the gig. And the things that he said in his article was spot on. It was facts. I mean, um, whereas the first article that was circulating, there was a lot of we know what the come on. We let's call a spade a spade. We know that the motives behind that. It was sensationalism at its best to try and get clicks through negativity. And that was exactly what it was. And then it obviously went quite viral, and we got into everybody's feeds, and it spurred a hatred around the team, which I think is not necessary. I mean, I think that this team did exceeded expectations in this World Cup. In my opinion, I don't think that a lot of us we almost didn't make the knockouts. I mean, the qualify we always made it into the qualifier rounds. We got out of jail there. A lot of us were nervous going into this World Cup. Not everybody, but a lot of us were nervous going into this World Cup and how well we'll do. We exceeded expectations. I mean, that public, Ryan himself was slating South Africa before, leading up to this World Cup. Then wrote positively about them, and then switched it on them again in the semi-final. So it's very contradicting reports. So from my perspective, I mean, there's a lot of good things that I feel that Enoch's done, and there will be mistakes. But I think that our cricket has been on an upward trajectory since he's taken over. Certain things that were implemented, for example, the domestic women's cricket being nationalized. I mean, being I think the the um, not nationalized. I mean, um, monetized, and obviously them getting be able to get some money from it as well is a good thing. Becoming professional, I think that there has been a lot of opportunities being given to younger players. The SAA structures coming back, and us get playing more SAA games, emerging games, the cult system coming back. I think there's a lot of positive things under him. I kind of get where the DA is coming from. To be honest, I'm going to continue having your stance. Politics should never ever be a part of the sport. It's either you go good enough or you're not. My personal opinion on this is, how do you explain this to 16, 18-year-old kid? Sorry, my boy, you're not playing today due to politics. Shameful, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't think that the way it's been implemented is correct. I think that more opportunity should be given to people of color in the first place when they get accepted into top schools. But I don't think that um, forcing them um, forcing now players into the first 11 is a good thing. I think that more opportunities should be given to players that as soon as when they come into grade 8 already, give more scholarships, give more opportunities at that stage, and let them work their way up into the team. Just deep, just deep this. A Brevis like player can miss out playing at the Bajola week due to these targets. It can also mean that KG or Vernon like player can miss out as these rules are very strict. Come on, Khalid, if this was Graham Smith, you would have ripped him apart like many others did, especially if he promised a report that wasn't released. Yes, he did a lot of good, but where's the report? But okay, I don't know where the report is. We need to ask him that. Um, and with all, um, I don't know where the report is, to be honest. And I know we're making, we're putting a lot of emphasis on this report. Um, but what you guys expect him to say in that report is what I want to know. Or you just want to see the report being released because he said he's going to. Um, I actually don't remember the original comments when it comes to the report. Um, so, but what I mean, what can he say that we don't really know though? To be honest, but yeah, he should. He must do. If he says he's going to do one thing, he should do. She should do it. But that's not something that I'm going to be overly critical about or upset about. Um, to be honest with you, I'm not going to be overly upset about that because I want to see what positives he's going to do going forward. And if there's more positives that outweigh the negatives, then I'm happy. No problem with the reply from Minak, but he was quick to respond to a said article. Yet we still a year on from the T20 World Cup and still waiting on a report. Why is he stalling? I have no clue. I don't agree with you, Khalid, on this team exceeded expectations. Just look at the squad, Khalid. We have some of the best players in the world. I expect to win the cup. We These players weren't some of the best in the world leading up to this World Cup, though. Let's be honest. They became some of the best players in the world. Klaassen hit incredible form in the last year. Pavuma hit incredible form in the last year. The only player that has been consistently as one of the top players in the world was Rassie van der Dussen in that batting order, and David Miller, you could say perhaps. Quentin de Kock was bouncing up and down, and then hit incredible form in this leading up to this World Cup. So we, on paper, when you look at the statistics leading up to the World Cup, then by all means, yes, our averages were great. But before that, I'm talking about over the last 4 or 5 years, or the last 3 years or so, since the 2019 World Cup, there was a lot of negatives thrown around at this team. We were having a lot of issues. We can't forget the first 2 years of this rebuild. There was a lot of negativity around the team before Rob and Shukri took over when we played against England. A lot of players or fans expected us to get completely obliterated by England. Um, and they ended up winning that series. There was a lot of negativity in the Australia series, even. No one, a lot of people didn't expect us to come back and win it in that manner. So I do think that they exceeded expectations from that perspective, based on the um, the narrative around the team. Enoch promised a report, yet it is not released yet. So that should definitely be taken a talking point. Yet no one wants to talk about it because many people like Enoch, but you should never. But that should never cloud judgment. It's not clouding my judgment. It's just that why is it so important? I want to understand why it's so important that we need to hold him accountable to bringing out the T20 report. That's probably just going to say that we were crap and we need to improve. Like, um, I don't know why that has to be held over his head. That's what I don't understand. And I wouldn't have held this. There's a lot of things that Graham Smith said that he's going to do that he didn't do, and I didn't hold it over his head. Um, I supported him until the end. There were certain aspects that were um, there were certain aspects of things that he did wrong, that we did discuss, um, because but majority of the things that Enoch has done so far has been good things. I just we can what do you want me to say? Okay, Enoch, you need to give in the report. Like, you haven't given in the report, you should give in the report. Is that though a is that something that we should that is that something that means he should get fired from his role? Because that's how people are holding him accountable. They're holding him accountable to the fact that saying if he doesn't handle the report, he should get fired. That's not the that's isn't that a little bit over exaggerate or going a little bit over the top? Not enough is being made of the players of color at grassroots level. That's not enough is done. Yes, no. No one has a divine right to win a World Cup, regardless of how good you are. But we know that hardly that our players are better than these overrated Indian and English players. We didn't prove it in the semi-final, however. Well, Graham was absolutely hammered for stuff when he did wrong, so why can't we have the same energy for Enoch? He lied, and that's a fact. Fido's Talford Tinners are all quiet now that it's Enoch. As a avid, passionate fan of South African cricket, I was promised a report from DOC Inque as to why he failed as to why we failed at the World Cup. So I'm holding him accountable to what he promised. But it is important, though, as he said, he will release it. Many other reports were released since 2007. How can we ask for something he said he'll make public? We need to ask for it. There's more pressing issues to worry about in SA cricket than a report from a year ago. It's clear just ask him the question, but no one seems to want to ask him. While no one said he must be fired now, did we? SA Cricket Mag did. That article said he should be fired. You're getting us wrong. I'm not saying you guys said he must get fired, but that article said he must get fired, basically. That's ultimately what they were insinuating. Um, I'll try my best to try and get Enoch on the show. I will give him a DM him, give him a message, have a conversation, try to have a conversation with him, and we can ask him that question. Let me try and do that. I will try to get in touch and see if he says that. He should be, if he said that publicly and he promised a report, should be held accountable for that. And that's as far as it goes. So we can ask him about it. I'll try to bring him on the show sometime. I'll see if he says yes. I don't know if he will. Can't promise you. I'm not going to promise you and put it out in the public that he's definitely going to come on the show. But I'll try it my best and give him a ask and see what he says. And we can try to organize that, and we can ask him directly all the questions that you guys want to ask him regarding everything. I've had many occasions where I brought Enoch on shows to um, where there was opportunities for us to give him um, opportunity, to ask him questions, and I'll try my best to do that as best as possible. You don't have to back off, Lawrence. That's fully your prerogative to want that. Um, it's public knowledge, so there we go. That's something that you need to that you can do. I do think that there's a lot more problems than a T20 report um, that we need to worry about. But that's just my opinion personally. I think there's a lot more issues that needs to be focused on when it comes to this. Um, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with you guys feeling the way you feel and stating what you have stated. Um, So yeah, we're gonna move on now from this game now, obviously into the next game of the SAA tour. Um, we're gonna obviously wait and see what's going to be regarding with regards to that. If South Africa can bounce back, of course. I just feel there's pretty much double standards when it comes to people we like and kind of dislike. Um, I try my best not to have double standards when it comes to this. I'm trying my best. Me personally, I try to be as fair as possible. I think we're always going to find double standards on social media and around. There is going to be conflicting ideas with people that they like and they don't. Not everybody's going to be as fair as you, as equally critical as you guys are. Um, but and that is something that we kind of need to accept. But I'm trying to be as equal as possible. There's not much that I can criticize him for other than say that he needs to provide the report. There's nothing more I can obviously say on that. I'm not going to slate him and go overboard. Um, for me, that's something that I want to try and be fair about when it comes to talking about these type of scenarios. Want to win a trophy and Toby stop picking players on sentiment. We all know that there's a lot more issues, but keeping your word as a DOC should be sacred. How did you been fair, bro? Thank you, Matt. I would like to see Bayers in India series. He's having back-to-back terrific seasons. That swing is really great. I wish he could add a little bit more pace onto his deliveries. And slightly, but he's getting amazing swing, and he's backing up the seasons. There's so many good players that I'm hoping we're going to get. Uh, it's something that I'm hoping that South Africa. We have so much great talent coming through, and I just hope that they let's just hope that others hope that they manage that correctly. Holly, let's cut the crap. People and myself included wanted to know why Riza didn't play one game at the T20 World Cup and what the thought process was. And he literally said he'll release it. Yeah, and I'm saying he must be held accountable for that. So um, I will try my best to get him on a show and we can ask him that question. Sorry that you're carrying the brunt for this, by the way. You're definitely not at fault here. Thanks, Lawrence. Yeah, I'm just trying to be as fair as possible. I mean, I didn't go berserk on Graham Smith either. I tried to be fair as possible with regards to certain things that he said and certain things that he did. Um, I didn't go guns ho against Graham Smith either. Um, even though I was very happy, I was only there was only, I mean, everything, even with regards to the reports about between Enoch and Boucher and the so-called things that happened between the two of them. I even try to report that fairly. So I'm just trying to give a fair and balanced view on things because I think that's a lot better than me going berserk on you, completely berserk on you. Then yeah, who's it gonna help? Wesley says Bellingham got a reality check in the first class game. Big jump from domestic cricket to international cricket. Yeah, there is a big jump, and I think that he will adapt his game. His game will. I think he'll play a lot better in the second match. Hopefully, Lorenzo, I personally think the reason it's not released yet is because it's very damning, probably on Temba. Maybe they wanted to protect him as they know it will stir up a lot of controversy. It will stir up a lot of controversy. I don't agree with the selection of Temba in T20 cricket. I said that on multiple occasions, particularly because Riza Hendricks was averaging ridiculous numbers and he was in incredible form leading up to that World Cup, scoring back-to-back half centuries in T20 game, still doing it. So I think that he 100% deserved a chance to play and to be the first choice T20 batter as the opener in that team. Temba being the captain, they're always going to protect him as a brain's trust, and it is going to spark a lot of controversy if they release it. Um, but let's ask Enoch directly. I'll try to get him on a show and we can have a discussion. I hope he can come on a live show. If not, I will ask him your questions. You can send in, and then I'll ask the questions to Enoch if I get an interview with him. I'll try my best. Can't promise, but I'll try my best to do so. Um, why are you talking about only Bellingham? What about Tony, Hamza, KP? Tony got a half century. Hamza has played international cricket already, and KP has played international cricket already. I think he mentioned Bellingham because it is a massive, because it is his first time playing some proper international cricket at the moment. So he's going to get a little bit of a reality check. But I'm sure he will adapt his game well. I think he has an amazing ability to assess the situation and adapt his game. Let, Tell me a team who dropped a player who scored 4 consecutive 50s in T20s. Yeah. I'm more confident Bellingham will do well at international. I noticed he likes to score his runs quickly. Yeah, and I think that will be a massive boost to his chances in making the national side. Um, I think that it will. Um, it's something that I think Coach Shukri will enjoy. Is a player that can take on the game. We know that Coach Shukri likes attacking style-minded players. Although in his recent press conference, when I asked him a question about what he looks for in players, he did say he wants players to be authentically themselves and be the best versions of themselves, whether that's attacking, whether that's defensive, whether that is balanced, whatever the case may be. But we know that he does like an attacking player that has a natural ability to attack. So I think that will be a positive for Bellingham's chances in the future. Hold your top 7 for India Test Series. It will most likely be Aiden, Dean, Tony, Bavuma. I would like to see Bellingham at 5. 6 will be, I think, Calvereno or Heinrich Klaassen. But I would go with Calvereno. 7 will be Mutasami probably. 8 will be Marco Janssen. 9 will be Gerald if Nokia is not fit. 10 will be Maharaj, and 11 will be KG. So yeah, that's the team. Brandt might take over from Alga in the future. Khalid, do you know what happened to Lutus Apamna? He can be a good option for New Zealand tour. He was injured. He is injured. I mentioned this on the last couple of shows. I said that the last time he played was like March, I think. He hasn't played for the Lions recently, so I think he's injured at the moment, making his way back from injury. So I think that's maybe why they haven't really selected him for this New Zealand tour. I think because he hasn't really played much since the SAA tour, which happened in June, and the last time he played for the Lions was in March. So, in June. So he hasn't played any games recently for the Lions. So I think that's a little bit of an issue. Don't think Bellingham was phased at what West Indies brought to the table in this game. He'll be fine, even at test level, in my opinion. I think so too. Why Mutasami Khalid? Because I think the reason I say Mutasami is because I think that's what Coach Shukri will pick, based on what he's picked in the past. But other than Mutasami, you can probably go Marco and Gerald in the same team too. Oh, Vian Mulder, flip. I forgot about Vian Mulder. I'll put Vian Mulder in there. Thanks a lot for the super chat, for the super sticker and super chat, Matt. Thanks for this platform, Holly. Keep the good work. Thank you, bro, for all the support. I'm trying my best to give you guys a platform as best as possible. Not two spinners against India, though. Yeah, we don't need two spinners against India, but I mean, it's from the batting all-rounder perspective, dependable on the ground, playing Wanderers, Centurion, and Newlands. We could play Vian Mulder at 7 and Marco at 8. I think that would be probably the way to go. I completely forgot about Marco Janssen. I'll go Mulder. There we go. Yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake there. I've completely forgot about Mulder. And Khalid, nothing was aimed at you. I'm referring to those Dalfatinas. They have double standards when it comes to players they like and dislike. The same with the DOCs. Yeah, I understand that now, Lorenzo. Thanks a lot. I don't know when you guys are aiming at me or not, so I need to maybe just be a little bit more like observant of that. So, Rasis Khalid, what is the news I'm hearing that they are going to introduce to? Yeah, I spoke about it a little earlier. According to the DA, that's what the news was. That, and I don't necessarily agree with that particularly because I don't think there's enough Black African players at the school. I've spoken so many times about transformation in South Africa and how we are doing a disservice to our players of color by not giving them opportunities at the grade 8 level where they still can develop and grow under good coaching. I don't think enough scholarships and good enough opportunities are given to sports players of color at the top schools in South Africa. I honestly don't believe that is happening. So I think that's where it should be implemented. I think by under 19 level, it's too late because you need to have put these players through through a period of cricket at the top school before they get forced into a team. So now what's going to be happening is what I predict is going to be happening is the grade 8s that have potential that are playing 18 cricket, etc., are now going to get fast tracked into the first team for Kaya Majolovic and get pushed into the top order to go face 19-year-olds when they're only 14. Now, the best ones at school level are capable of doing that, but there's only a minority of them. There's not that actually are capable of actually stepping up to the first team level from such a young age. I know Zubair Hamza was one of them in the past, and I think Calvarain and them were some players that also did so, and Jason Smith, etc. So you're saying that each school should produce at least, I would probably say 4 or 5 of these caliber of players from grade 8 level. I don't think this is a feasible model or a very realistic model, particularly the schools like in the Western Cape, the top schools in the Western Cape and the top schools in Pretoria. I think it's a little bit far-fetched to expect that from them. Thanks for the super chat, Wesley. Thanks a hell of a lot for that. That's brilliant. All your super chats really support the channel, really help the channel out a lot. So please, thank you a lot for doing those. Simon Harmer is going to be in SC20. That's why he's not available. Simon Harmer as well. I need to put him in the mix. But if you're only going to play one spinner, it's Kesh for me over Simon. Khalid, CSA is the guilty one for not spreading the cricket at the grassroots level. CSA, to be honest with you, CSA, I've seen it. CSA does a hell of a lot of work with grassroots cricketers. I don't believe that it's fully Cricket South Africa's fault. I think that a lot of the government schools, private schools even, they don't do enough when it comes to giving opportunities to players, people of color or from disadvantaged backgrounds, in my opinion. Now, it is very difficult for a player to come from the township and go to a school like Rondebosch and feel accepted, or come from a certain area that is less that is disadvantaged and then try to fit in at a school like that. It is very difficult, particularly with cricket when equipment's expensive, especially if your parents are not both working or all of those type of things. So there's a lot of socioeconomic issues. But I believe that more can be done at these private schools and government schools where scholarships are given to kids that are good of color at the high school level, because majority of the players that make it up into Western Province and into the national team come from the top schools in South Africa. And I think that a lot of these schools have a primary school and a high school that feeds into each other. So at the primary school level already, you can start giving loads of players of color an opportunity um, to play at these to get an opportunity to go to these schools. But instead, there's still those, and I understand that happens, but there's still a geographical um, like quota with regards to these schools that happens, that only certain people from a certain radius around the school can be accepted there, and majority of the people in around those schools are going to be white people. That's just a fact. So I think that more can be done from that perspective. More of these top schools are not doing enough, unfortunately. I'm also of the opinion that a white boy growing up rich can't be held accountable for things that happened he were as not even part of. Yes, you probably have a private coach, but then that is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. That's what I'm saying. But we do need to give opportunities to more people that can't afford private coaches, though. Transformation has to mean replacing bad facilities with great facilities, creating quality opportunities at a young age. Government does nothing yet. Private schools get stick. I mean, I went to a private school, um, so yeah, I'm trying to be as fair as possible with regards to that. I mean, that's where all the great facilities are. You can go into the township and you can put up nets and stuff like that, but the poverty in those areas, how long do those last? I've seen nets get stolen, taken down, only last a couple of months. Um, and a lot of the schools in those areas don't play cricket. So the clubs are the only place that they probably can go to take their cricket to the next level. So there this needs to be more opportunities given to players. When it comes to rugby, there's no issues in giving players of color opportunities because majority of these schools are rugby schools and they want to win rugby games and they know how much talent there is when it comes to rugby. And then there's no issues. But when it comes to cricket, barely. What CSA is going to do with these prize money given by ICC to SA team for finishing in the top four in the World Cup? No clue. Don't think that CSA fault that nets vandalized, equipment get stolen. A lot of other factors are also at play. 100% CSA do invest in a lot of hubs. Yes, and you must see the amount of investment into KFC mini cricket. Thousands and thousands and thousands of kids get exposed to cricket on a yearly basis when it comes to CSA's investment into that. The boy wants to develop his game as he also wants to play SA, and if he does have a private coach, then that's good on him. I won't complain as that could be the next Tenduka. Now, I'm not complaining about that, but their prerogative, their choice and their decision and their opportunity. But I would like to see, with regards to the good schools, where most of the Proteas are coming from, I would like to see them get the um, more opportunities at decent schools. Look at Abraham. Yeah, Mikhail Prince is a good example. At his talent he improved in impoverished areas. Exactly. And then what happened? He had to go to Sachs and get noticed there and then get and play well at Sachs and then gets an opportunity. If he stayed where he was, would he have gotten the same chance? No, he made the decision to move to Sachs. And Sachs is one of the best cricket schools in the country. I just feel they must develop cricket at a grassroots level in the townships, as only then will we see quality black players come through the system. Can you tell me when they are going to announce a squad for series ahead? I'm not 100% sure. I will let you guys know as soon as I know when that is happening. Um, so yeah. Thanks a lot, everybody, for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for keeping me company. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click that notification bell for future videos, and also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. The latest issue is about BMT. Please go and see what was said by the coaches about and players about that. And yeah, let's support us with regards to that. We put in a hell of a lot of effort into that every single month. So please go ahead and read our magazine, guys. It's 100% free and easily readable on all devices. Khalid, and let's be honest, some South African schools don't want to have cricket at their schools as they see it as a white man's sport. The same with rugby as well. Yeah, but yet the top schools are still going to have those two sports as the main sports at the school. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I'll see you guys again very soon. Take care. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. Stay safe. Peace out.